Hello, beautiful soul. I want you to take a deep breath with me right now. Just breathe in slowly and let that breath fill your entire body. As you exhale, allow yourself to arrive here completely, in this moment, in this space we're sharing together. I know you've come here today because something inside you is calling for change. Something is whispering that it's time to turn your attention inward, to yourself, in a way that may feel both exciting and terrifying. I see you there, and I want you to know that your heart is safe here. Your feelings are welcome here. Whether you're feeling exhausted from always giving to others, guilty about wanting more for yourself, or simply confused about who you really are beneath all the roles you play, I want you to know that what you're experiencing is not only normal, it's actually a beautiful sign of awakening. Your soul is calling you home to yourself. For so many years, you may have been taught that focusing on yourself is selfish, that good people always put others first, that your worth comes from how much you give and how little you need. These beliefs run deep in our culture, passed down through generations like invisible threads that bind us to patterns of self-sacrifice. But today, we're going to gently examine these beliefs with love and compassion. And we're going to discover together that the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for everyone in your life is to become the main focus of your own attention and care. This journey we're beginning together isn't about becoming self-centered or uncaring toward others. It's about returning to your center, to that beautiful, authentic core of who you truly are. When you focus on yourself in healthy, loving ways, you're not taking away from others. You're actually giving them the gift of your full, authentic presence. You're showing them what it looks like to live with self-respect, self-love, and healthy boundaries. You become a living example of what's possible when someone chooses to honor their own worth. Right now, your nervous system might be sending you signals of resistance. You might be thinking, but what about my family? What about my responsibilities? What will people think? These thoughts are so natural, and they come from a part of you that has been trained to believe your value lies in your usefulness to others. We're going to work with these feelings gently, understanding that they come from love, love that has been misdirected away from yourself and toward everyone else. The truth is, you matter. Your dreams matter. Your feelings matter. Your needs matter. You are not here on this earth to disappear into the background of other people's lives. You are here to shine, to express your unique gifts, to experience joy and fulfillment and love. And the only way you can do this is by placing yourself at the center of your own life story, as the main character in your own beautiful journey. As we move forward together today, I want you to give yourself permission to feel whatever comes up. If guilt arises when we talk about self-focus, that's okay. If fear surfaces when we discuss changing patterns, that's natural. These feelings are simply old programming that's been with you for a long time, and with patience and love, we can transform them into something that serves your highest good. Now let's explore together how this pattern of self-neglect began in the first place. Understanding where these habits come from is the first step in changing them. And when we look at our patterns with compassion rather than judgment, healing becomes possible. Most of us learned very early in life that love was conditional. Perhaps as a small child, you noticed that when you were helpful, when you didn't ask for much, when you made life easier for the adults around you, you received more attention, more approval, more of what felt like love. Children are incredibly intuitive, and they quickly learn what behaviors bring connection and what behaviors might lead to rejection or withdrawal of affection. If you grew up in a household where there was stress, conflict, or emotional instability, you may have unconsciously taken on the role of the helper, the peacemaker, the one who held everything together. You learned that your value lay in your ability to sense what others needed and provide it, often before they even asked. This sensitivity, this attunement to others, is actually a beautiful gift. But when it comes at the expense of your own awareness of your needs and feelings, it becomes a prison rather than a gift. Many of us also receive direct messages about selfishness. Don't be selfish. Think of others first. Good people sacrifice for others. While these teachings often came from well-meaning adults who wanted to raise caring, compassionate children, they sometimes went too far in the direction of self-denial. We learned that having needs was somehow wrong, that expressing desires was inappropriate, that the highest virtue was in giving everything away and keeping nothing for ourselves. In some families, there simply wasn't emotional space for everyone's needs. Perhaps there was a sibling who required more attention due to illness or behavioral challenges. Perhaps there was a parent dealing with depression, addiction, or their own overwhelming life circumstances. In these situations, children often adapt by becoming smaller, by needing less, by finding their identity in being the easy one, the helpful one, the one who doesn't add to the burden. These adaptations served you well as a child. They helped you survive, helped you maintain connection with the people you needed most. Your nervous system learned to scan constantly for what others needed, to anticipate problems before they arose, to smooth over conflicts and keep the peace. These skills likely served you in many ways throughout your life, helping you build relationships, succeed in work environments, and navigate social situations with grace and sensitivity. But somewhere along the way, this external focus became so habitual that you lost touch with your own inner landscape. You became so skilled at reading others that you forgot how to read yourself. You became so good at meeting others' needs that you stopped noticing your own. The very survival mechanism that protected you as a child became the thing that now keeps you from fully experiencing your own life. This pattern often gets reinforced by the relationships we choose as adults. We tend to attract people who appreciate our giving nature, our helpfulness, our willingness to put their needs first. We may find ourselves in friendships, romantic relationships, or work situations where our value seems to lie primarily in what we can do for others, rather than who we are as complete human beings. Sometimes we don't even realize this is happening. The pattern feels so normal, so much like just who we are, that we don't question it. We tell ourselves we're just naturally giving people, that we don't need much, that we're happiest when we're helping others. And while there's truth in the joy of giving and connecting, when it becomes the only way we know how to relate to the world, it cuts us off from the full spectrum of human experience. The awakening usually happens gradually. You might start noticing a feeling of emptiness even when your life looks full and busy. You might feel exhausted in ways that sleep doesn't seem to fix. You might find yourself wondering, who am I when I'm not taking care of everyone else? Or what do I actually want? These questions can feel scary because the answers aren't immediately clear, but they're also signs of your authentic self beginning to stir, beginning to call you back home. When we live this way for years or decades, constantly giving our energy, attention, and care to others while neglecting ourselves, the cost becomes evident in every area of our lives. The price we pay for disappearing into the background of our own existence touches our physical body, our emotional well-being, our spiritual connection, and our ability to create authentic, fulfilling relationships. Physically, our bodies begin to speak to us in the language of symptoms and illness. When we consistently ignore our own needs, when we push through exhaustion, when we carry the emotional weight of everyone around us, our immune system becomes compromised. We might find ourselves getting sick more often, feeling tired no matter how much we rest, or developing chronic conditions that seem to have no clear cause. Our bodies are wise, and they will find ways to force us to stop and pay attention when we refuse to do so voluntarily. The stress of constantly monitoring and managing others' emotions while suppressing our own creates a state of chronic nervous system activation. Our bodies remain in a subtle state of fight or flight, always alert to the next crisis we might need to manage, or the next need we might have to meet. This ongoing stress affects our sleep, our digestion, our hormone balance, and our ability to feel truly relaxed and peaceful. Many people who have spent years focusing exclusively on others find themselves struggling with unexplained physical symptoms, headaches, digestive issues, chronic pain, or autoimmune conditions. The body that has been ignored for so long begins to demand attention in increasingly urgent ways. These physical symptoms are often our body's way of saying, "Please come back to yourself. Please remember that you have needs too." Emotionally, the cost of self-neglect shows up as a gradual numbing of our inner world. When we spend all our time tuned into others' feelings, we lose touch with our own emotional landscape. We might find ourselves feeling empty, confused about what we actually want, or unable to access our own preferences and desires. We become strangers to ourselves, knowing more about everyone else's inner world than our own. This emotional disconnection often leads to depression, anxiety, or a general sense of meaninglessness. We might feel like we're going through the motions of life without really living it, like we're watching our own life from the outside rather than fully inhabiting it. The joy, spontaneity, and passion that are our birthright begin to feel like distant memories or things that other people experience but that aren't available to us. Resentment often begins to build, though we might not recognize it at first or might feel guilty about it when we do. Deep down, part of us knows that we're giving more than we're receiving, that we're carrying more than our fair share, that others seem to have permission to focus on themselves in ways we've never allowed ourselves. This resentment might show up as irritability, passive-aggressive behavior, or a general feeling of being taken for granted. Spiritually, when we abandon ourselves in favor of others, we lose connection with our own divine essence. We forget that we are worthy of love, care, and attention simply because we exist, not because of what we do for others. Our spiritual practice, if we have one, might become another area where we focus on serving others rather than nurturing our own relationship with the divine. We lose touch with our own intuition, our own inner guidance, because we've trained ourselves to look outside for all the answers. Our relationships ironically suffer when we don't focus on ourselves. When we have no boundaries, when we're always available to meet others' needs regardless of our own capacity, we actually enable others to remain unconscious about their own responsibilities and capabilities. We rob them of the opportunity to develop their own strength, resilience, and self-reliance. We create relationships based on imbalance rather than mutual respect and reciprocity. People may begin to take our giving for granted, expecting it rather than appreciating it. They might become uncomfortable when we do try to express our needs or set boundaries, because they've grown accustomed to us being endlessly available and accommodating. This can lead to conflict and confusion as we try to shift the dynamics of long-established relationships. Our children, if we have them, learn from our example that self-sacrifice is love, that their needs matter more than ours, and that healthy adults don't have needs or boundaries. We inadvertently teach them patterns that may serve them poorly in their own adult relationships. They may grow up either expecting others to sacrifice for them or believing they must sacrifice themselves for others. Professionally, when we focus only on others' needs and neglect our own, we might find ourselves stuck in positions that don't fulfill us, working for people who don't value us appropriately, or saying yes to opportunities that drain us rather than energize us. We might be seen as the person who can always handle more, who never complains, who doesn't need recognition or advancement. While these qualities might make us valuable employees, they often prevent us from reaching our full potential or creating work that truly aligns with our gifts and passions. Financially, people who consistently put others first often struggle with receiving appropriate compensation for their work, asking for raises or promotions, or investing in their own education and development. We might find ourselves always giving money to others, supporting others' dreams and goals, while neglecting our own financial well-being and security. The awakening to these costs can feel overwhelming at first. You might look at your life and feel grief for all the years you spent invisible to yourself, for all the dreams you put aside, for all the times you said yes when you meant no. This grief is holy and necessary. It's your heart acknowledging what you've lost and preparing to reclaim what is rightfully yours. But even in the midst of recognizing these costs, there's tremendous hope. The very fact that you're becoming aware of these patterns means that change is already beginning. Your consciousness is expanding, your authentic self is stirring, and your life is ready to transform in beautiful ways. The journey back to yourself is one of the most courageous and loving things you can undertake, not just for yourself, but for everyone whose life you touch. The first step in returning to yourself is giving yourself permission to be the focus of your own attention and care. This might sound simple, but for many of us, it requires a fundamental shift in how we view ourselves and our place in the world. The guilt that arises when we even consider putting ourselves first can feel overwhelming, but this guilt is not your truth. It's simply old programming that we can lovingly update with new, healthier beliefs. Right now, I want you to place your hand on your heart and feel it beating. This heart has been beating for you since before you were born, working tirelessly to keep you alive, to circulate life force through your body. Your heart doesn't ask permission to beat. Your lungs don't feel guilty for breathing. Your body knows that taking care of itself is not selfish, it's essential. In the same way, taking care of your emotional, mental, and spiritual needs is not selfish. It's a fundamental responsibility you have to the life force that flows through you. The belief that self-care is selfish comes from a misunderstanding of how love actually works. True love is not finite. When you fill your own cup, you don't take away from others. You create overflow that naturally spills out to bless everyone around you. When you're running on empty, when you're depleted and exhausted, what you have to give others comes from deficit rather than abundance. This kind of giving, while it might look noble on the surface, often carries undertones of resentment, obligation, and burnout that others can feel, even if they can't name it. Think about the people in your life who truly inspire you, who make you feel good just by being around them. These are usually people who have a healthy relationship with themselves, who know their worth, who take care of their own needs without drama or guilt. They give from fullness rather than emptiness, and their presence feels nourishing rather than draining. This is what becomes possible when you choose yourself first, not in a selfish way, but in a self-honoring way that creates the foundation for all healthy relationships. Choosing yourself means recognizing that you are the only person who will be with you for your entire life. Others will come and go, friends will move away, romantic relationships will change, children will grow up and create their own lives, careers will shift and evolve, but you will be with yourself through every moment of your existence. The relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have, and like any relationship, it requires time, attention, and care to flourish. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent to others or withdrawing your love and support from the people you care about. It means approaching your relationships from a place of choice rather than compulsion, from fullness rather than emptiness, from healthy boundaries rather than codependent entanglement. When you know who you are, when you honor your own needs and limits, when you treat yourself with kindness and respect, you naturally attract others who will treat you the same way. The guilt you feel about focusing on yourself often comes from fear. Fear that others will be angry with you, fear that you'll be seen as selfish, fear that you'll lose love and connection if you're not constantly giving and accommodating. These fears are understandable, especially if you've received messages throughout your life that your worth depends on your usefulness to others. But these fears are based on an old story about who you are and what love requires. The new story, the true story, is that you are worthy of love simply because you exist. You don't have to earn love through service, sacrifice, or self-denial. You don't have to prove your worth by exhausting yourself for others. Love that requires you to disappear, to ignore your needs, to sacrifice your well-being is not actually love. It's need, dependency, or control disguised as love. True love wants you to thrive, to be healthy, to honor yourself, to grow into the fullest expression of who you're meant to be. As you begin to give yourself permission to focus on yourself, you might notice resistance from others who have grown accustomed to your constant availability and accommodation. This resistance is natural and temporary. People who have benefited from your self-neglect might initially be uncomfortable when you start setting boundaries and honoring your own needs. This discomfort is not your responsibility to fix. It's information that shows you where your relationships have been out of balance and need adjustment. Some people in your life will celebrate your journey toward self-love and will adjust easily to the new, healthier version of your relationships. Others might struggle more with the changes. The people who truly love you will want you to be happy and healthy, even if it means some initial discomfort as relationship dynamics shift. Those who only value you for what you can do for them will reveal themselves through their resistance to your growth. And this information, while sometimes painful, is actually a gift that helps you see where your energy is best invested. The permission to choose yourself is not something you need to ask for from others. It's something you grant to yourself. It's a decision you make in the quiet of your own heart, a commitment you make to the precious life you've been given. You are the author of your own life story, and you have the power to decide that from this moment forward, you will be the main character in your own narrative rather than a supporting character in everyone else's. Now that you've begun to give yourself permission to focus on yourself, let's explore practical ways to reclaim your center and create daily practices that connect you with your own needs, desires, and inner wisdom. Returning to yourself is not just a philosophical concept. It's a lived practice that requires concrete actions and consistent attention. The most important practice is learning to pause and check in with yourself throughout the day. We've become so accustomed to moving through life on autopilot, responding to external demands and expectations without consulting our own inner compass. Several times each day, stop whatever you're doing and ask yourself simple questions. How am I feeling right now? What do I need in this moment? What would feel most loving and supportive for me right now? These questions might feel foreign at first, but with practice, they become natural and automatic. Start your day by spending a few minutes in quiet connection with yourself before engaging with the world. This might look like sitting quietly with your morning coffee, writing in a journal, taking a walk, or simply lying in bed for a few extra minutes and noticing how your body feels. This morning practice creates a foundation of self-connection that can support you throughout the day. It reminds you that you exist, that your experience matters, that you are worthy of attention and care. Creating physical space that belongs only to you is another powerful way to reclaim your center. This doesn't have to be an entire room. It could be a corner of your bedroom, a comfortable chair, a spot in your garden, or even just a drawer that contains things that nurture your soul. Fill this space with objects that make you feel peaceful, inspired, or connected to your authentic self. Having a physical space that's solely yours sends a message to your unconscious mind that you matter, that you deserve to take up space in the world. Learning to say no is perhaps one of the most challenging but essential practices for someone who has spent years saying yes to everything. Start small. Practice saying no to requests that don't align with your energy, schedule, or priorities. You don't need to provide lengthy explanations or justifications. A simple, "that doesn't work for me," or "I'm not available for that," is sufficient. Notice the guilt that arises when you say no and remind yourself that you're not responsible for managing other people's disappointment or inconvenience. Equally important is learning to ask for what you need and want. This might feel terrifying at first, especially if you've been trained to be low maintenance and accommodating. Start by asking for small things: a hug when you need comfort, help with a task when you're overwhelmed, space when you need alone time. Practice expressing your preferences about simple things like where to eat dinner or what movie to watch. Your voice matters. Your preferences are valid, and people who love you want to know what would make you happy. Create daily rituals that honor your body and its needs. This might include eating meals that actually nourish you rather than grabbing whatever is convenient, moving your body in ways that feel good, getting adequate sleep, or spending time in nature. Your body is your home for this lifetime, and treating it with respect and care is a fundamental act of self-love. Develop practices that connect you with your emotions rather than avoiding or suppressing them. Emotions are information, guidance from your inner wisdom about what's working in your life and what needs attention. You might try emotional check-ins where you name what you're feeling without trying to change it, journaling about your emotions, or talking with a trusted friend or therapist about your inner experience. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They're guidelines that help you stay connected to yourself while remaining in relationship with others. Healthy boundaries might include limits on your time and energy, guidelines about how you're willing to be treated, and clarity about what you will and won't do for others. Boundaries are acts of love, both for yourself and for others, because they create the container within which authentic relationship can flourish. Practice tuning into your intuition, that quiet inner voice that knows what's right for you. Your intuition has been with you all along, but it may have been drowned out by the louder voices of others' needs and expectations. Spend time in silence, ask yourself questions, and listen for the answers that arise. Notice which choices make you feel expansive and which make you feel contracted. Your intuition is always available to guide you toward what serves your highest good. Affirmations are powerful tools for rewiring the unconscious beliefs that keep you trapped in patterns of self-neglect. The words we speak to ourselves, both out loud and in the privacy of our minds, shape our reality in profound ways. When you've spent years believing that others' needs matter more than yours, that self-focus is selfish, that your worth depends on your usefulness to others, it takes conscious effort to replace these limiting beliefs with thoughts that support your highest good. The affirmations I'm about to share with you are not just pretty words, they're restructuring tools for your consciousness. When you repeat them consistently, with feeling and intention, They begin to overwrite the old programming that has kept you small and invisible to yourself. Your unconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what's true and what's repeated with conviction. So these affirmations become new truths that your mind accepts and your life reflects. I am worthy of love and attention simply because I exist. This affirmation addresses the core wound that drives self-neglect, the belief that we must earn our worth through service to others. Repeat this affirmation while looking at yourself in the mirror, especially during moments when you feel guilty for focusing on your own needs. Let these words sink into your heart and nervous system. You are not an accident. You are not here by mistake. Your existence itself is proof of your worthiness. My needs and feelings are valid and important. For years, you may have dismissed your own needs as less important than others. This affirmation helps you reclaim the truth that your inner experience matters. When you notice yourself automatically putting others' comfort before your own, pause and repeat this affirmation. Your feelings are not too much, too sensitive, or too demanding. They are information from your wise inner self. I choose to honor myself with the same love and care I give to others. This affirmation helps balance the scales of giving and receiving in your life. You know how to love others well. Now it's time to turn that same quality of care toward yourself. When you catch yourself being harsh or critical with yourself in ways you would never be with a friend, repeat this affirmation and ask yourself, how would I treat someone I love in this situation? It is safe for me to put myself first. Safety is often the core issue beneath self-neglect. We learned early that focusing on ourselves might lead to rejection, abandonment, or conflict. This affirmation helps your nervous system understand that self-care is not dangerous, it's essential. When guilt or fear arises around self-focus, breathe deeply and remind yourself that it's safe to matter in your own life. I am learning to love and accept myself exactly as I am. Self-acceptance is the foundation of all positive change. You cannot love yourself into wholeness from a place of self-criticism and rejection. This affirmation helps you develop the unconditional love for yourself that you may have been seeking from others. Use this affirmation especially during moments of self-judgment or when you notice yourself focusing on your perceived flaws or shortcomings. I trust my inner wisdom to guide me toward what serves my highest good. Your intuition is always available to guide you, but self-doubt and the habit of looking outside yourself for answers can make it difficult to hear. This affirmation helps you reconnect with your inner knowing and trust the guidance that comes from within. When facing decisions, repeat this affirmation and then listen quietly for the wisdom that arises. When working with affirmations, resistance is normal and expected. Your old beliefs have been with you for a long time, and they won't give up without a fight. You might notice thoughts like, "This is selfish," "I don't deserve this," or "People will think I'm arrogant." When resistance arises, don't fight it or judge it. Simply notice it with compassion and continue repeating your affirmations. The resistance is actually a sign that the affirmations are working, that they're challenging beliefs that no longer serve you. Use your affirmations during your morning routine, while looking in the mirror, during moments of stress or self-doubt, and before sleep when your unconscious mind is most receptive to new programming. Write them on sticky notes and place them where you'll see them throughout the day. Record yourself saying them and listen during your commute. The key is repetition and feeling. The more you can connect with the emotion behind the words, the more quickly they'll create change in your life. Some days the affirmations will feel true and powerful. Other days they might feel foreign or untrue. This variation is normal. Keep repeating them regardless of how they feel in the moment. You're not trying to convince yourself of something false. You're remembering something true that you temporarily forgot. These affirmations are not creating new truths about you. They're helping you recognize truths that have always been there, waiting for you to claim them. Mirror work is one of the most powerful and transformative practices you can engage in on your journey back to yourself. The mirror doesn't lie and it doesn't judge. It simply reflects back to you exactly what you bring to it. For many of us who have spent years avoiding our own gaze, who have been more comfortable focusing on everyone else's face but our own, looking deeply into our own eyes can feel both vulnerable and revolutionary. The practice is beautifully simple, yet it can bring up profound emotions and insights. Find a mirror where you can see your face clearly. It doesn't need to be large, but it should allow you to make eye contact with yourself. Begin by simply looking into your own eyes for a few moments without saying anything. Notice what comes up. Do you feel uncomfortable? Do you want to look away? Do critical thoughts arise about your appearance? All of this is information, not judgment. You're simply gathering data about your current relationship with yourself. Now, while maintaining eye contact with yourself, begin to speak words of love and acceptance. Start with your name. Hello, your name. I see you. I acknowledge you. You matter. It might feel strange at first, even silly, but continue. Your reflection is the face of someone who has been through everything you've been through, who has survived every challenge you've faced, who has carried every burden and celebrated every joy. This person deserves your love and recognition. As you continue your mirror work practice, begin to speak the affirmations we discussed earlier while looking into your own eyes. I am worthy of love and attention simply because I exist. Say it to yourself as if you're speaking to a beloved friend, because that's exactly what you're doing. Watch your own eyes as you speak these words. Notice if they soften, if you can allow yourself to receive the love you're offering. The mirror will show you where you still hold resistance to self-love. You might notice that certain affirmations are harder to say while looking at yourself than others. Pay attention to which words make you want to look away, which statements bring up the most skepticism or discomfort. These are the exact areas where your healing work is most needed, where old beliefs about your unworthiness are strongest. Use your mirror work sessions to practice speaking kindly to yourself about your physical appearance as well. We live in a culture that teaches us to focus on our perceived flaws, to see our bodies as projects to be improved rather than homes to be cherished. Look at your face with the same love you would show to a child's face. Notice the kindness in your eyes, the wisdom written in the lines of your experience, the unique beauty that belongs only to you. Practice apologizing to yourself for the years of self-criticism and neglect. I'm sorry I ignored you for so long. I'm sorry I spoke to you so harshly. I'm sorry I put everyone else's needs before yours. These apologies aren't about shame or regret. They're about acknowledgement and healing. You're recognizing the ways you've treated yourself and choosing to do better moving forward. Mirror work is also a powerful way to practice receiving love. Look into your own eyes and say, I love you, with as much sincerity as you can muster. If the words feel untrue at first, that's okay. You're not trying to convince yourself of something false. You're practicing a truth that you're learning to embody. Some days the words will flow easily. Other days they'll feel difficult. Keep practicing regardless. The transformation that happens through consistent mirror work is remarkable. Over time, you'll notice that you can hold your own gaze longer, that the critical voice in your head becomes quieter, that you begin to see yourself with the same compassion you've always shown others. You start to recognize the beautiful soul looking back at you, and that recognition changes everything about how you move through the world. As you begin to focus more on yourself, to set boundaries, and to honor your own needs, you'll likely encounter resistance from some of the people in your life. This resistance can feel challenging and confusing, especially when it comes from people you love and who claim to love you. Understanding how to navigate these reactions while staying centered in your new commitment to yourself is crucial for maintaining the progress you're making. First, it's important to understand why others might resist your positive changes. When you've been the person who always says yes, who always accommodates, who always puts others' comfort before your own, people become accustomed to this dynamic. They may not have consciously realized how much they depended on your self-sacrifice, but when you begin to change, they feel the shift immediately. Their resistance isn't necessarily about not wanting you to be happy. It often comes from their own fear of change and their discomfort with having to adjust their expectations and behaviors. Some people have grown to define their relationship with you based on what you do for them, rather than who you are as a person. When you start setting boundaries around your time, energy, and availability, they may feel confused or even threatened. They might say things like, "You've changed," or "You're not the same person anymore." And in some ways, they're right. You are changing, and change can be uncomfortable for everyone involved, even when it's positive change. The key to handling these reactions is to stay centered in your own truth while remaining compassionate toward others' adjustment process. Remember that their resistance is about their own discomfort, not about whether your changes are right or wrong. You don't need to defend your decision to honor yourself, explain why you deserve care and attention, or convince anyone that your needs are valid. These truths are not up for debate. When someone expresses displeasure about your new boundaries, resist the urge to immediately back down or apologize for taking care of yourself. Instead, acknowledge their feelings without taking responsibility for managing them. You might say something like, "I understand this feels different for you, and I care about our relationship. This is what I need right now to be healthy and present." You're honoring their experience while maintaining your own position. Some conversations will be more challenging than others. Family members in particular might have strong reactions because family systems are often resistant to change. They may try to guilt you back into old patterns by saying things like, "Family comes first," or "You never used to be this way." Remember that these statements often come from their own discomfort with change rather than from genuine concern for your well-being. Stay connected to your inner wisdom during these difficult conversations. Before engaging in discussions about your new boundaries, take time to center yourself, breathe deeply, connect with your own truth, and remind yourself why these changes are important for your health and happiness. When you're grounded in your own knowing, you're less likely to be swayed by others' discomfort or to take their resistance personally. It's also important to recognize that not everyone will be able to adjust to the new, healthier version of your relationships. Some people may choose to step back or even end the relationship rather than relate to you as an equal person with needs and boundaries. While this can be painful, it's also valuable information about what those relationships were really based on. Relationships built on mutual respect and genuine care will find ways to adjust and grow stronger through your positive changes. Trust that the people who truly love you want you to be healthy and happy, even if they need time to adjust to the changes. Be patient with their process while remaining firm in your commitment to yourself. Some of your closest relationships may go through a period of awkwardness or tension as new dynamics are established, but this temporary discomfort is worth the long-term benefit of more authentic, balanced connections. One of the most beautiful aspects of learning to focus on yourself is discovering how to become your own best friend, your own source of comfort and encouragement. For years, You may have looked outside yourself for validation, support, and love, not realizing that the most reliable source of these gifts lives within you. Cultivating a loving, supportive relationship with yourself is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and ultimately everyone in your life. Being your own best friend means treating yourself with the same kindness, patience, and understanding you would show to someone you deeply care about. When you make a mistake, instead of launching into harsh self-criticism, you offer yourself the same compassion you would give to a friend in the same situation. When you're going through a difficult time, instead of telling yourself to get over it or stop being so sensitive, you acknowledge your pain and offer yourself comfort. Self-compassion is a learnable skill, even if it feels foreign at first. Begin by noticing how you speak to yourself throughout the day. Are you encouraging and supportive or critical and demanding? Would you speak to a good friend the way you speak to yourself? If the answer is no, you have an opportunity to practice more loving self-talk. When you catch yourself being harsh, pause and ask, "What would I say to a dear friend in this situation?" Then offer yourself those same words of kindness. Create rituals and practices that celebrate your relationship with yourself. This might include taking yourself on dates, to movies you want to see, restaurants you enjoy, or places in nature that feed your soul. Buy yourself flowers, write yourself encouraging notes, or create a playlist of songs that make you feel happy and alive. These practices might feel self-indulgent at first, but they're actually essential investments in your relationship with the person who will be with you for your entire life. Develop the practice of celebrating your wins, both big and small. Often, people who have focused exclusively on others have become skilled at celebrating everyone else's achievements while minimizing their own. Start acknowledging your accomplishments, your growth, your courage, and your progress. Keep a journal where you record daily wins, no matter how small they might seem. Did you speak up for yourself in a difficult conversation? Celebrate that courage. Did you take time for rest when you were tired instead of pushing through? Celebrate that self-care. Learn to comfort yourself during difficult times rather than automatically reaching outside for support. While it's healthy to have a support network, it's equally important to develop your own internal resources for managing life's challenges. This might include practices like deep breathing, gentle movement, soothing self-talk, or creating a calm environment. You become a safe harbor for yourself, a place you can always return to for peace and restoration. Practice gratitude for all the ways your body, mind, and spirit serve you each day. Your body carries you through life, your mind processes countless pieces of information, your heart continues beating without your conscious effort. Begin each day by thanking yourself for showing up, for continuing to grow, for having the courage to focus on your own healing and development. Forgive yourself for the years you spent invisible to yourself. This forgiveness isn't about condoning self-neglect. It's about understanding that you were doing the best you could with the awareness and tools you had at the time. You learned to put others first as a survival mechanism, as a way to maintain connection and avoid rejection. Now you're learning a new way, and this learning process deserves patience and compassion. The journey from self-criticism to self-celebration is gradual and ongoing. Some days you'll feel filled with love for yourself, grateful for your uniqueness and proud of your growth. Other days you'll fall back into old patterns of self-judgment and comparison. Both experiences are part of the process. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Each time you choose self-compassion over self-criticism, you're building new neural pathways, creating new habits of thought and feeling that will serve you for the rest of your life. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to take a moment to acknowledge the courage it took for you to be here, to listen to these words, to consider the possibility that you deserve to be the main focus of your own life. The very fact that you're questioning old patterns, that you're feeling called to change, that you're willing to explore a new way of being with yourself, all of this takes tremendous bravery. The journey you're beginning isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. There will be days when focusing on yourself feels natural and joyful, and days when guilt or fear tries to pull you back into old patterns. Both experiences are normal parts of the healing process. Be patient with yourself as you learn new ways of thinking, feeling, and being. Remember that you're not just changing habits, you're transforming lifelong patterns that have deep roots. This kind of change takes time, and every small step forward is worthy of celebration. You are not selfish for wanting to matter in your own life. You are not wrong for having needs, desires, and dreams. You are not asking for too much when you request to be treated with respect and kindness. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's emotions, solving everyone else's problems, or sacrificing your well-being for others' comfort. You are a precious, unique soul with gifts to offer the world. And you can only offer these gifts fully when you're connected to yourself, when you know who you are, when you honor your own worth. The world needs you to step into your full power, to take up the space you're meant to occupy, to shine your light brightly. When you focus on yourself in healthy, loving ways, you give others permission to do the same. You model what it looks like to live with self-respect and boundaries. You show by example that it's possible to be both loving toward others and honoring toward yourself. Trust the process you're beginning. Trust your inner wisdom. Trust that you deserve every good thing you desire for yourself. Trust that as you learn to love and honor yourself, your life will transform in ways that may surpass even your greatest hopes and dreams. I want to leave you with one final affirmation, one that encompasses everything we've explored together today. I am worthy of my own love, attention, and care. I choose to honor myself as the precious being I am. I am becoming the main focus of my own life, and this is a beautiful, necessary, and loving choice. Place your hand on your heart once more and feel that steady, faithful rhythm. This heart has been with you through everything, and it will continue to beat for you as you create a life centered in self-love and authentic expression. You are so much more magnificent than you know, and it's time for you to discover this truth for yourself. Go gently, dear one. Go with love, and remember that every moment offers you a new opportunity to choose yourself, to honor yourself, and to live from the beautiful center of who you truly are.